Hi guys, well, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but it's another Dalek tutorial. This one is for the Paradigm Daleks, specifically from Asylum of the Daleks. I've been asked to do Paradigm Dalek voices in a tutorial for quite a long time now. It's been at least a few years since I was first asked about it. I have done recordings before that I never released because things like the effects and stuff I've updated multiple times since then. So this is my most up to date version of how I do the Paradigm Daleks at the moment. After countless attempts at it. So here's my most recent one, and we'll go through that now. So the one I've chosen specifically is the Supreme Dalek, considering it's the one that speaks in Asylum of the Daleks. The effects aren't too different to how they sound in Victory and Pandorica. They are slightly, but I'll go over that another time. That's not something I'll probably do this time, because I haven't actually done updated versions of those ones yet. Since the last ones they did, but this one will do for now. Plus I slightly prefer the Asylum ones anyway. So for the Supreme Dalek, I'll just play the voice for you now so you can hear it, and then I'll go over the effects after.
We have arrived! What is the noise? Explain! Explain! This conversation is irrelevant. The asylum must be cleansed. The predator of the Daleks will be deployed. It is known that the Doctor requires companions. The asylum is destroyed. Prepare to defend, defend, defend. Identify yourself. Identify!
Right, for the effects, actually they've done two alterations that you could do. It's only minor, but it's something that I noticed in the episode that does change the way it sounds a little. I'll take that off for now, the reverberate temporarily.
We have arrived! What is the noise? Explain! Explain! This conversation is irrelevant. The asylum must be cleansed. The predator of the Daleks will be deployed. It is known that the Doctor requires companions. The asylum is destroyed. Prepare to defend, defend, defend. Identify yourself. Identify.
As you can probably tell, the reverberate does change it slightly. Obviously, it adds the whole echo and reverb to the voice, just as it sounds in the episode. Because obviously it's in a great big massive chamber. You can hear the reverberation on the voice. So that's something I added to it, just because of that. Obviously, you can do it to your own projects if you want as well. I mean, it's probably something you're going to be adding to your own projects anyway, depending on the scenes that you're doing. But yeah, EQ, that will really differ depending on what microphone and setup you have, and whether you've got the soundproofing and stuff like that. I don't have very good soundproofing at all. In fact, I don't have any, so I have to use a duvet wrapped around the microphone so I can sort of behind me and around the microphone, just so to block out as much reverb in my room as possible. And my microphone isn't particularly great either. So it will change, it will vary, but that would be more up to you. So yeah, that's the EQ. Pitch, you'd want it to be quite a low pitch anyway, because the deep, low pitch voice that the Supreme Dalek has. Don't need to do it too much, although obviously the way you voice it as well will also have an effect on this. Let's take a look at that for a moment. And then distortion. I've added 2 distortions, probably not for much reason, but it does sound slightly better. So I've just, there's not much to it. It's just simple like that. But yeah, ring modulator. I found having the modulation frequency about 6, with a mix of about 80, to be just about right. You can play around with it if you want to, and alter it, to how you like it. Again, the way your microphone is set up, and the type of microphone you have will obviously change things like this. So just play around with it, and see what works for you. Distortion again. This is the main distortion that would be above, that would be over the ring modulator, just to give it the booming, distorted Dalek noise that it's known for. So this one does have a bit more gain to it. I turned the max volume down just because it makes it incredibly loud, which I don't want. Moog filter. Again, I just turn the cutoff down a bit and turn the resonance and drive up a little. It muffles. I can't really describe what this does, but it sort of muffles certain frequencies, and it does. It's used on Dalek voices anyway, but it does work with the Paradigm Daleks, especially because they do have a sort of muffled kind of voice to them. I can't really describe it, but it is quite a good one to use for that. EQ again. This is more what's known as creative EQ. The first one would be corrective EQ, and the second one is creative EQ. And this one can change a lot more, not just because of mics. Obviously, depending on quality of mic or how the recording has turned out. The first one is the important one for that. But for the creative EQ, that would be that could change on how you if you want the voice to sound different, or with more bass in it, or more higher notes in it, if you want it to. That's obviously up to you, and it can also depend on the location of the scene as well. That could be an effect to this, and obviously things like how whatever it's being used for is edited in. Like if you're doing it in an audio story, it would sound. This would probably be something you'd be doing differently compared to a fan film, for example. So that's another one. This is just how I've got it at the moment. It's just what I find works in this particular context. If I was doing it in an audio story or fan film, I would do it a bit differently. But in this particular case, because it's a tutorial, this is how I'm showing it. This one is optional. Reverberate. Again, I've just got it to make it sound like it's in a great big room, but you can change it depending on the setting and the scene where it will take place. It will all be different, but I think for this context, I thought it was good to hear both versions, with and without the reverberate, because one, it sounds like because one, it has reverberation in the episode, with it being in a massive room, and two, hearing it without it as well obviously gives you more of an idea of how it would sound without it as well, depending on the context of whatever you're using these voices in. And a limiter. This is purely a more technical thing, but it's so it doesn't go over a certain threshold of of noise, as it were, so it's not too loud and doesn't go over the. It doesn't create more distortion, because obviously if you go over a certain limit of what's the word I'm looking for? Can't remember what the word is. It's like volume, but not. If you go over it, it will create more distortion, and it will just ruin the sound of it. So limiters do help with that. They keep it to a certain level without going over. But you can keep that on and off if you want. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what it is you're doing. But yeah, that's how I do the Paradigm Daleks. Now, if you want to do other Daleks, like, say, the Eternal, you'd want to change the way you speak. You'd want a more nasally kind of voice. And then obviously, if you want to change the pitch as well on here, you can do. You can put the sense up a bit and change a few settings there to how you want. But that's really how you do other Daleks using this effect. I'll go over other Daleks, other Paradigm Daleks in future. It's not too much different to this, actually. They're very similar, but I'll go over them at some point. And chances are I'll end up updating this in future anyway, because I'm always updating the Dalek voices. And I'll certainly be doing other Dalek voices at some point as well, and Cybermen. But that really comes down to whether or not I have time, which for the moment I don't, but there's certainly some. There's certainly some I do want to do at some point soon, when I get the chance. If you have any other requests, though, that you'd like to see first, I'd certainly take them into consideration, and we'll see what comes up next. I'll just play this one last time.
We have arrived! What is the noise? Explain! Explain! This conversation is irrelevant. The asylum must be cleansed. The predator of the Daleks will be deployed. It is known that the Doctor requires companions. The asylum is destroyed. Prepare to defend, defend, defend. Identify yourself. Identify.